Welcome to another edition of Dream Firm Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, co-founder of Dream Firms, where we create generational wealth and impact for entrepreneurial accountants by systemizing how they attract, win, and retain the business of their dream clients. And to help you to understand how we do this, why not hear it straight from one of our most successful clients? And that individual, of course, is going to be introduced to you right now. Introducing to you a woman with a heart of gold who's so bold that she was the first ever Dream Firm leader to do a live role play in front of her peers. Not an easy feat. Trust me, from someone who does role plays all the time, it's always nerve-wracking. A CPA who cares for nonprofits all day. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Dream Firm leader of Sandra E. Ray, CPA, the one, the only Sandy Ray. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm great, Tyler. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. You are a dream client to a T. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take us all back to the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. Really, when did you get started with your accounting firm?
I started my firm 25 years ago. I realized I was in a dead-end job and that I needed to do something for myself and my family. And so we started the firm, and we had lots of referrals from audit firms who were needed somebody to make sure that their audits were clean. So at that point in time, there was lots of business.
Wonderful. So I'd like to get a little bit more depth and nuance about your work experience, because there's a big gap between 25 years, what happened a little bit before that. And so tell us about that work experience in that dead end job, to use your terminology, which is true for all the people stuck in those dead end jobs. And then tell us a little bit more about the type of clients that you were working with, the type of firm you were building, more specifically before you started to work with us. Tell us about what all of that was like.
Well, mainly I am working with small nonprofit organizations who can't afford to have a full-time CPA on staff, but need that type of expertise for compliance issues and just, internal controls. And of course, nonprofits have the same issues as for-profits, but then they've got another layer of governmental requirements on top of that. So that's mainly where I've been working. I've been working with small organizations in my area. Basically, my day was, one day I'm at one client, one day I'm at the next client, Wednesday I'm at another client, and it went on that way for a very, very long time. It was very useful to me for work-life balance. And then the referrals started to dry up. The bigger firms decided, if Sandy can make money doing this, so can we. And after about 20 years, I decided I really need to start expanding some more, but I didn't know how to do it.
And I want to unpack that just a little bit there, because I think that there's some fantastic lessons in that early part of your journey there, where we're relying on a particular source of leads, right? And then all of a sudden that referral source realizes, wait, why are we sending this over here? We can just take this money for ourselves. And then all of a sudden those referral sources dry up, and we're we're left a little rudderless in terms of how to continue to accelerate the growth of our firm and ultimately acquire some of the right types of clients. When you were doing all of that traveling, Sandy, in between clients, is that something you enjoyed? Do you enjoy the on-site experience? Is that something that really speaks to you? Because it's okay if it does. I mean, some people love being on site, interacting directly with the clients. What's your flavor on that?
I did enjoy it. I actually enjoy working remotely as well, because I don't feel isolated because of tools like Zoom. But I really did enjoy it. The advantage to being the independent contractor is you go in, you clean out your inbox, and then you get to go home. So, and that's kind of what I do now, but I do it remotely, and I still talk to people every day, and I'm more productive this way.
Nothing beats being a little bit more productive. That's wonderful. So I want to I want us to rewind the clock a little bit here, Sandy. I want us to talk about what life was like before you worked with dream firms, because one of the things I've realized is that sometimes it's easy to forget where we were and the struggles and the hurdles that we were going through. So describe a little bit about what life was like prior to engaging with us.
Financially, we were struggling. The leads were drying up. What I could do was limited based upon what I could get done in a day. So, and I didn't know where to go other than just to try to bring in more clients and have more billable hours, but I didn't know how to do that.
It's not an uncommon problem, right? Kind of an army of one, but only so many hours in the day. And at the same time, we understand that we want to do more, but we don't want to sacrifice more in the process of that. Is that a fair way of thinking about how things were running for you prior to working with us?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And so beyond the leads drying up, you mentioned something related to sales there. And this is exciting because I know you and I are constantly having dialogues about the sales conversation, and the difference from where you were from when we first met to where you are today is like super awesome. But tell me about how that sales conversation, that experience prior to us, what were the emotions that you had when you had the opportunities? What would it feel like then?
There was a lot of uncertainty. Am I charging enough? Am I going to make money doing this? How many hours am I going to put in? Are they going to accept the quote? Is it too high? There was a lot of uncertainty back then.
Absolutely. And there's nothing worse than uncertainty, especially in that sales role, right? One of the things that we talk about in the C4 sales script for anybody that's purchased Igniter, right? The last C in C4 is certainty. And when we're getting ready to trust a service professional, whether it's a nonprofit trusting Sandy or whether it's an accounting firm trusting us, we want to feel that certainty that, okay, this is a smart move. This person really believes in their promises. And we know that you guys believe in them, but sometimes expressing that belief can be hard. And even sometimes having the belief can be difficult as well. But I'm glad to know that it's in a little bit of a different place, or a significantly different one for you in particularly, Sandy. Wonderful. Another question I love to ask is, a lot of people have invested in other programs. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure if you had invested in anything prior to working with us. But had you invested in any other programs to really help you with that certainty piece, to help you with the leads, to help you with ultimately growing your firm? Had you made any previous investments?
I looked around, but I hadn't actually made any previous investments.
So your point of reference is only the best. So that's going to be hard if you ever try and do anything else, because man, what a tough act to follow. So that's a smart choice. I'm glad to know that. So let's actually unpack that a little bit, because when I talk to people, it's not uncommon for us to be in comparison against a couple of different companies, and sometimes it's related to price, and we're certainly not the cheapest company on the block, that's for sure, in terms of helping with dream client acquisition. But really, why did you start? What was the thing that made you feel comfortable investing with us?
I knew that this was something that I needed to do. Certainly price had something to do with it. You're not the most expensive one out there either, Tyler, but you are the best. And I knew I needed a change. It was just a little bit about a year ago, and everybody was coming out of things and going, how are we going to do things differently? Prior to everything, I had made the decision that I wanted to work just strictly with nonprofits, always worked with nonprofits, but not 100% of the business. And then having to work remotely and just reevaluating everything. And I happened to come upon an Igniter at CPE World, and got onto the webinar, and your personality is infectious. And I was just like, okay, let's find out more.
That's awesome. And look, that's often the first step for a lot of people here. They might see a piece of content, whether it's CPA Academy or some form of CPE that we've got out there in the market. We have a Facebook group, of course, where we're going live right now, YouTube channel, which we're re-syndicating on the back end. But look, once you are able to get into this content production mode, and this is something that we want our clients to be able to do, and something Sandy's getting ready to launch very soon, which is, hey, when you have that ability to build trust in this digital medium, and you can make a simple but small offer to just get them to take that next step, you can attract some incredible people to your firms. As we're going to unpack a really awesome win from Sandy in just a minute here, of a lead that she generated in the last week. That's humbling. Sandy, am I allowed to share the size of that nonprofit lead? Can I share that? Am I allowed to?
Yes.
Okay, I very much appreciate that permission. So she had a lead that came through her website, which we built through dreamleads.app, which makes her shine just like she's just like pure expert status on there, because she is an expert. And $7.3 million nonprofit. And we got a nice follow-up call booked for this upcoming, I believe, Tuesday. And very, very excited for the conclusion of that. But hey, at least we've generated the interest, and now we're going to be able to hopefully bring it over the finish line in not too long of a time frame from now. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. So anyhow, I just wanted to bring that up, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about that in a bit if time permits. So let's bring it back to what it was like getting started. So we know that you got involved from CPE, some free content, and then ultimately invested in the small program with Igniter. But what was it like really getting started with those? Because I think when you kind of bring the hood back, show what's behind the jacket a little bit, right? What was that experience like for you?
It was very easy to follow the program, and it was, self-paced, obviously, and I had personal support from you, and I knew nothing about social media other than having my own personal Facebook page, which I would go months and months without even checking. So I really did it just to keep up on what the kids were doing, and through the program, I learned how to leverage that tool to guide traffic to my website, to guide traffic to me, and Tyler provides scripts and suggestions and schedules, and it just is really easy to implement and monitor. And I'm not even doing it myself anymore. I've got someone else who's doing it, and she's doing a fantastic job. And we're just so pleased with how our social media campaign is going.
That's amazing. And look, if we juxtapose that against what life was like before working with us, army of one, wanting to get more done, not knowing necessarily what to do, having our lead sources dry up, to now we've got a team. We're very proud of our social media efforts. Very few firms ever are proud of what's going on with their social media. I like to make the argument that Sandy and our clients are in the top 1% of people that actually love what social media does and produces for their firms. That specifically being expert status and high quality leads. And we already referenced one a little bit earlier today. And so let's talk about the emotional impact that has, because I think it's easy to talk a little bit about the end result. It's a little bit easy to say, hey, it was fun getting started. But at the same time, I'd love to be able to understand from your perspective here, Sandy, once you've gone through that transformation, how has that changed your life? What is that feeling like, knowing that your social media is being taken care of in a way that you approve, that you love, that generates opportunities, that makes you proud, that I would imagine also makes your friends and family proud as well. And they go, look at what Sandy's accomplishing.
Yeah, I think some of my family is like, you're doing what? I think I'm really surprising them. I sometimes I surprise myself. It's great. I've got I'm able to have more time with family, to do the things that we want to do. My schedule is definitely more flexible, and there's just a wonderful ability to. That's one of the things that you do, Tyler, is you encourage us to refresh, to recharge, to take time with family. We're working the insane hours, and sometimes we need that little push to just take a day off.
Exactly. And this is why we become entrepreneurs in the first place, is so that we have control over our time. And truth is work will fill the time we allot to it. And while I'm all for hard work, I'm also for play hard too, and make sure that when we're working hard, that we're appreciative and reflective of why we're working so hard, so that we can actually go and enjoy this time with our family, so that they can see all the cool things that we're putting out there into the world on behalf of our clients, on behalf of our firm. And it's a fun thing to see when someone's like, wow, something's really different about you, or how are you accomplishing all of this? And there are no secrets to this. It is hard work, but at the end of the day, it's rewarding.
Yeah, I really feel like I'm making a bigger impact now than I was before, because don't think I'm working any more hours. I'm just not just being busy. I'm actually focused. I have my priorities. I know what needs to get done in order to accomplish goals, and not just keeping busy for busy's sake and chasing the billable dollars.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Exactly. That's what this is about, is there's a difference between busy and productive. And sometimes we need that third party perspective to be able to understand how productive are we versus how busy are we. And then once we have that small level of awareness, it blossoms into something much larger than ourselves. And it's been a pleasure to help you with that process, Sandy. So I want to swing it just a little bit back to the program itself, and really, what do you enjoy most about working with us? What's the one thing that you just say, the value that I get from this is just awesome? What is that for you?
I think there's two things. I think your team is wonderful. They are, respond really quickly with wonderful ideas, coming up with copywriting and schedules for social media, and developing a website for me, and encouraging me to do a video on my website. And then the other is, of course, you and probably the group coaching calls. The support I get from the other members of our group coaching call, whether it's during the call or during the week through the network, and chatting with people and getting suggestions and helping each other out, is just incredible.
And that answer to me is something that is a recurring one in these Dream Firm Leader interviews. And I think it really shows the quality of the people that we let into our program, right? I want to be clear about this, that we choose to work with, because our dream client profiles are, as you can imagine, very dialed in. And the same thing is true for our clients as well, right? They get very, very, very dialed in with their dream client profiles. And what it allows to happen is really magical if you choose to foster that community amongst your clients, and they're all of that similar mindset. And some of them are maybe a little further ahead than others, but they're willing to ultimately be that helping hand and that guiding light, whether it's through our direct team or whether it's through one of the high value clients that we have. They're able to help each other. And we also have clients that are smaller that help the larger clients. Like it's really a dynamic atmosphere, and Sandy, you contribute to it in such a fantastic way. So we can't thank you enough for that. So this question is always interesting to me, and I always do my best to make sure that you understand that there's no pressure to answer this, because I know it's a personal question. But if you are willing to share, I think it gives people at least a little bit of a backdrop for understanding for what the return can look like, depending on their situation and where they are, because it is different for everybody. But if you are willing to share, how much have you added to your firm and in what time frame since starting with Dream Firms?
Well, nonprofits are a little slower. They always have to talk to their board, which usually only meets once a month. But I can tell you my January and February 2022 revenue is twice my 2021 revenue.
Okay. And look, I don't disagree with what you said there either, which is nonprofits in certain niches. I would argue nonprofits is one of the hardest niches in the game. There are a lot of legacy firms that have been niched up there for a while. They take a long time to make decisions. There's a lot of nonprofits that don't have a whole lot in terms of donations. So there's a little bit of front end filtering that we have to go through to find the ones that are willing to invest in the financial, outsourcing the financial aspect of their business. But doubling from 1 year to the next, 2 months in a row is no small feat. So congratulations to you, Sandy. That's absolutely fantastic. And my next question from that, knowing that you've doubled 2 months in a row, year to date, what would you say to someone considering our services right now?
I would say find a way to make it happen. That's what I did, and I am so glad I did. And I mean, there are times people around me are not accountants, are not in accounting, and I really needed this community, and I enjoy being a part of it.
Thank you very much. And look, I think that you're the perfect example of where there's a will, there's a way. And I know that you and I have had some pretty difficult conversations, not in the sense that they've been terse, but you've been in some tough positions related to family commitments, competing with work commitments, which I know is no stranger to anyone in the entrepreneurial space who has a family that they want to take care of. But again, your will to find a way to make this work is commendable, and you 100% deserve all of the fruit that you are reaping right now. Why do you consider this one of the best investments you've made in your business?
I really enjoy working with people, and have worked. My firm has been a firm of one. I've always considered myself part of the team of all of my clients. And now my team is growing, and I'm seeing what I'm able to do to help not only my clients, but the members of my team, and adding to their quality of life. And I just am so excited of the possibility of adding more team members. Little panicked about it at the same time, but very excited. And just, I used to think, there's limitations on what I can do. Now it's like, just bring it on. We can do that. We'll figure out a way. We'll bring on more people. We'll expand our systems, and we can do this.
That is absolutely fantastic to hear. And you're right. There's a lot of self-imposed limits that we place onto ourselves, and it is scary when we're talking about bringing on potentially a multi-million-dollar dream client, and then what that will do and to radicalize and change our operations. But it's ultimately for the best. And I find that when we have these moments of fear, they're often confused with excitement, right? Excitement and fear are very similar emotions. And when you have an opportunity that really makes you, humbles you a little bit, that's when you know something's working the right way. And I want to ask this question, but I also want to ask a second follow-up question as it relates to, I think, a really cool experience from a compliment you got from the $7.3 million nonprofit lead that was generated. But what has surprised you the most when it came to growing your accounting firm here, your CPA firm, Sandy?
That everybody keeps telling me that I'm unique and I'm an expert in my field. And yeah, just the just the realization that I am. I just have always done what I've enjoyed doing professionally, and it is it's it's been a lot of fun.
I love it, right? We don't always recognize the greatness that's inside of us. And I guarantee people listening to this interview right now, you're an expert. You may not realize it. It may not be as well represented online as it could be. But once that happens and other people start to recognize it, the belief you have in yourself, the belief you have in your promises, the belief you have to go and grow your team in the right direction with, A+ talent, it changes everything. And that's got to start somewhere. And if it starts as a part of our program, if it starts a part of this interview, if it starts anywhere else, I don't really care. I just care that ultimately you find that same experience that Sandy is going through and has gone through, which is, I am an expert and I deserve this, because she absolutely does. So I want to bring up one other thing as it relates to something that's surprising. And this to me is a really cool experience when your marketing impresses someone that is a big fish, right? Like, I think when we think these really big companies, it's like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to actually get them excited before they even get onto the phone with me? And so you shared something with me earlier this week about this very large lead. What did they say to you, Sandy?
Well, to preface it, the integrations that I've been able to set up and the technology I've been able to set up, the lead goes through and gets on my calendar based upon the availability that I set. And then the software sends thank you, your call is booked. And then there's another email that goes out that says, thank you, our meeting's in 24 hours. And then there's a text that goes out that says, looking forward to meeting you in an hour. And this gentleman told me, he said, that he understood that I was not doing this personally, that it was an automation, that it was technology, but that he appreciated it because he is so busy that he really needed those reminders and thought that they were wonderful. And it's really increased my productivity as well, because I don't have hardly any people that don't show up for calls or for appointments.
So awesome, right? Like, this to me is such an important aspect of a successful marketing system, right? The marketing doesn't end when they book the call. It ends when they show up for the call. And even then, I could argue it still has to continue until they sign the agreement. And there's a lot of cool things that happen after that as well. But you have to imagine, right? If you're impressing someone, and these are busy people, you're running a multi-7-figure business, and you're carving time out of your day to be able to speak with an expert like Sandy in that space, in your niche, all of a sudden, the experience feels really different when they're impressed on the front end. Because now they go, look at what this is like on the front end. Before I've ever paid Sandy $1, before I even had a chance to hear her pearls of wisdom about my space and what she has to offer, I'm already impressed. What is it going to be like when we start to work with her? That's the type of thoughts that we want a premium buyer to have before they even talk to you. And there are easy ways to do that. But you just need to know what they are. And of course you got to get them in place. But best thing is like, we get almost all of this in place for you. We just need to make sure that the right people see it. So that's a super cool compliment, Sandy. And we appreciate you sharing a little bit of insights into how that came about. So 2 last questions here before we let you go, because I know we've got some things we got to tackle shortly thereafter related to that $7.3 million opportunity. But how close are you to winning your first Dream Firm Award? Again, that's $100,000 in less than 365 days. We give out a lot of these awards. But Sandy, I know that, again, you've got a little bit of a longer sales cycle. If you're uncomfortable sharing, you don't have to say anything again. If you've already won it and you want to keep it to your chest, that's cool too. But where are you in terms of just being able to reach that tremendous milestone that so many firms have as a growth goal?
I am a ways away, but this one opportunity will push me over.
It only takes one.
3 times. 3 times.
It only takes one, right? And look,
but you know what? I mean, even even if I don't get this one, we're good. We're good. I mean, we'll get there.
We'll get there. And look, sometimes some growth trajectories, again, because of the niche, because of where we were before that, sometimes they're a little slower than others. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have to emphasize this. Like, I know everybody wants to compare themselves to the man on top of the mountain when they haven't even, they're only taking 20, 30, 40 steps into their journey. But the point here is, like, compare yourself to where you were yesterday. And Sandy, you're a master at that. And the growth you've had by just having that mentality of like, am I better than where I was yesterday? Your wins are stacking to the point where you're attracting and impressing multi-million-dollar niche specific clients. Like, just let that sink for a moment. Like, what? That's awesome. So awesome. So awesome. Okay. So let's get to the last question here, because I know we've got a few things that we got to tackle on the back end of today's call. And you've been super kind. I know we're running a little late here. Who would you recommend the Create Your Dream Firm program to? And you know how selective we are with our community and how protective we are of getting the right people in there. So who would you recommend this to?
I would recommend it to people like me. You know what you're doing as far as the business and the expertise that you have in the field, but you're not reaching and you're not serving everyone that you can serve and still provide your expertise to them. If you're not getting out there and reaching people and making that growth in your business and expanding your reach so that others can take advantage of your expertise.
Perfectly said, Sandy. I want to thank you a million times over for carving a little bit of time out of your day to share your journey and your experience with us. Before we close things out, is there anything else that you would like to share at all with our audience?
Just that I am so glad that I found you and your team, and it's amazing that when I look back on this last almost year, the difference in my attitude and my concern and my excitement for the future. And we're taking a vacation the first week of April. I would have never done that before, never. So, and I have to preface this by April 15th is not a big deadline for me. So that's another option, another reason. So I'm just so grateful to you and to your team and for all your support. And I encourage other people to do the same, because I've seen what it's done for me, and I know they can do the same for you.
Well, thank you so much. And believe me when I say the feeling is mutual. I'm so happy that we've managed to find each other, and that we also managed to find a way to ultimately make things happen, right? It's easy for us to sometimes wait while other people choose to create, whether that's meaningful opportunities or whether that's create new leads, new social media funnels, new whatever it is, right? Like we prioritize this relationship, and the fruit have shown themselves. We've doubled from January and February, and March is about to close out. We got a very large opportunity on the hook here, and hopefully we're going to land that starting in the middle of next week, and we'll be more than happy to provide an update should that ultimately come to fruition. So I just want to say a million times over, again, Sandy, thank you for choosing to work with us, for choosing to give us just a bit of your time here to explain your story. For anyone else that is checking this out and saying, hey, I want to be like Sandy. I want to be brave like Sandy, right? I want to have those multi-million-dollar niche specific opportunities in, again, the hardest space, in my honest opinion, is nonprofits. Tell you what, you know the drill. You've got links floating around, dreamfirms.com/now, whatever you want. Just understand that we are here to help you, and that only you can create your dream firm, but we're here to help you every single step of the way, including the wonderful Sandy Ray. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your work week. Finish out your tax season strong, everyone. And hopefully we will see you on the inside, on the other side of that April 15th deadline. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon.